life is unpredictable. No matter how much we plan or try to control outcomes, we are often left grappling with the unexpected. What if I told you there is a way to navigate the chaos, to remain calm and centered amidst the storms of life? What if I said you could find peace, clarity, and purpose right now by tapping into the ancient wisdom of Stoicism? The Stoics lived centuries ago, yet their insights remain as relevant and powerful today as ever. These timeless lessons can transform the way you live, helping you find strength in adversity and peace in the present moment. In this video, we'll delve deep into 7 life-changing Stoic principles that, once embraced, will shift your mindset and your experience of the world. From mastering self-control to letting go of what you can't control, these teachings offer a path to resilience and fulfillment. Stay with us to the end, and you'll discover practical tools to enhance your everyday life, no matter what challenges come your way. By the time we finish, you'll not only understand these profound Stoic truths, you'll be equipped to apply them in your own journey, today and every day. 1. Focus on what you can control. How often do you find yourself worrying about things that are entirely outside of your control? Whether it's the opinions of others, the outcome of a situation, or even the weather, we tend to invest emotional energy into matters that we cannot influence. And what does this bring? Frustration, anxiety, and sometimes even despair. Yet what if I told you that much of this suffering could be avoided by a simple shift in perspective? This is where Stoicism enters our lives with one of its most essential teachings: focus only on what you can control. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus famously said, "It is not events that disturb people, it is their judgments concerning them." This means that while we cannot control external events, we can control how we interpret and respond to them. Think about it. When was the last time you were upset about something you couldn't change? Did it help? Or did it only deepen your frustration? Stoicism teaches us to reclaim our power by focusing on what lies within our control, our thoughts, our actions, and our responses to the world. Instead of trying to change other people or outcomes, we change how we react. This doesn't mean we become passive. Instead, it means we wisely invest our energy in what truly matters: our own character, choices, and inner peace. When you adopt this mindset, life becomes less of a battle against the uncontrollable and more of a harmonious flow. You stop chasing after what you can't catch and begin focusing on what you can influence. Imagine the peace that could come from letting go of worries about how others perceive you or whether a particular situation will go as planned. Instead of wasting time fretting, you can take action where it truly matters, within your own mind and heart. So ask yourself, what are the things in your life right now that you're trying to control but cannot? What if you could release that burden and focus only on your response to these situations? The truth is, by narrowing your focus to what you can influence, you begin to liberate yourself from unnecessary stress and frustration. As you practice this, remember, the key to Stoicism isn't about resigning to fate, but about empowering yourself to respond with grace and clarity to whatever comes your way. By controlling your reactions, you regain your power over life's uncertainties. Now that we've explored how to focus on what we can control, let's move to the next critical Stoic principle, one that turns every obstacle into an opportunity for growth. Are you ready to embrace adversity with a new mindset? 2. Embrace adversity as an opportunity for growth. What if I told you that the very challenges you face in life, the moments of struggle and pain, are not obstacles to your happiness, but rather essential stepping stones toward growth? This is one of the most profound insights Stoicism offers. Adversity is not something to be feared, but embraced. In fact, Stoicism teaches that life's difficulties are the very things that shape our character and refine our wisdom. Consider this. When you look back on the hardest times in your life, Weren't those the periods where you learned the most? Where you became stronger, more resilient? Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, expressed this beautifully when he said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the obstacles we encounter are not barriers to our progress. They are the path itself. Think of a blacksmith forging a sword. The metal must endure intense heat and repeated hammering to become strong and sharp. So too must we face life's difficulties if we are to grow into our fullest potential. If we avoid hardship, we remain weak, untested, and fragile. But if we face adversity with courage, seeing it as an opportunity to become better, we transform our challenges into the very thing that helps us thrive. Let me ask you, when life presents a difficult situation, how do you typically respond? Do you see it as a setback, or do you see it as a chance to grow? What if, instead of complaining or resisting, you embraced the challenge with the mindset of a Stoic, recognizing that every hardship contains the seeds of wisdom and strength? Stoicism encourages us to adopt a mindset where we actively seek out the lesson in every trial. For example, the next time you experience rejection, disappointment, or failure, instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask, "What can I learn from this?" By doing this, you shift from a victim mentality to one of empowerment. When we embrace adversity in this way, we no longer fear it. Instead, we welcome it, knowing that it's refining us, much like fire tempers steel. Every difficult moment becomes an opportunity to exercise patience, courage, and self-discipline, key virtues in the Stoic philosophy. But let's be clear, embracing adversity doesn't mean we seek out suffering for its own sake. It means that when life inevitably brings hardship, we use it as an opportunity to grow stronger and wiser. This shift in perspective makes all the difference. Instead of being weighed down by difficulties, we rise above them, understanding that they are temporary, but the lessons we gain are eternal. The next time you face a challenge, remember this: you are being given an opportunity to strengthen your character, to practice resilience, and to deepen your wisdom. Ask yourself, how can I use this experience to become a better version of myself? Now that we've explored the power of adversity in shaping our growth, let's turn to another crucial Stoic principle that allows us to find peace in an uncertain world: the art of living fully in the present moment. 3. Live in the present moment. How often do you catch yourself worrying about the future or dwelling on the past? These thoughts can dominate our minds, pulling us away from the one thing we truly have: the present moment. Stoicism teaches that living fully in the present is the key to inner peace and clarity. As Seneca wisely put it, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. So, let's ask ourselves, why do we spend so much time worrying about things that have already happened or might never happen? What would life look like if, instead of allowing ourselves to be consumed by past regrets or future anxieties, we focused entirely on the here and now? In many ways, living in the present is the most difficult challenge of all. Our minds naturally wander to what-ifs and if-onlys. Yet Stoicism encourages us to cultivate mindfulness and focus on what is right in front of us. After all, the past cannot be changed, and the future is uncertain. What matters is how we engage with the present. Imagine the freedom of letting go of everything except this moment. You are no longer a prisoner to past mistakes or future fears. You are fully alive, fully engaged in whatever is happening right now. This is what the Stoics teach. Life is lived in the present. By focusing on the now, you gain the clarity and presence of mind to make the most of your time. Let's consider how this can be applied to your daily life. The next time you find yourself caught in a mental loop of regret or worry, Pause and bring yourself back to the present. Notice your surroundings, your breath, and your immediate tasks. What can you do right now to make this moment meaningful? Living in the present doesn't mean ignoring the future or disregarding the past. Rather, it means recognizing that your power lies in what you do today. The decisions you make, the actions you take, these shape both your future and your legacy. Seneca's wisdom echoes here. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. To truly embrace Stoicism is to embrace the present moment with all its complexity and richness. It means understanding that the only time you can truly influence is now. So, take a deep breath and immerse yourself in the moment. The past is behind you. The future will come in time. But right now, this moment is yours. If you found these first 3 principles insightful and useful, I encourage you to stay with us until the end of the video. By doing so, you'll discover even more life-changing Stoic wisdom that can transform how you approach the world and lead to a more fulfilling and peaceful life. Let's now move on to the 4th Stoic principle, which deals with one of the most liberating yet difficult lessons in life: learning to let go of attachments and expectations. 4. Detach from outcomes and expectations. Have you ever felt crushed by disappointment because something didn't turn out the way you hoped? Have you placed your happiness in the hands of external events, only to be left frustrated when they didn't unfold as expected? If so, you're not alone. Many of us live our lives tethered to outcomes and expectations, which only leads to suffering. Stoicism offers a profound solution. Let go of attachments to results and lower your expectations. In the teachings of Stoicism, there's a powerful truth. The only thing we truly control is our own actions and attitudes. Everything else, whether it's success, approval, or material gain, is outside our control. Epictetus tells us, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Consider for a moment how much time and energy we spend trying to control outcomes. We set expectations for how others should behave, how our plans should unfold, or how life should treat us. And yet, when those expectations aren't met, we suffer. But is the suffering necessary? The Stoics would say no. Let's explore this more deeply. Imagine you're working hard toward a goal, whether it's a career achievement, a personal milestone, or even a relationship outcome. You've done everything you can, but the result is out of your hands. The Stoic approach would be to focus on the effort, not the result. Why? Because the effort is within your control, while the result is subject to countless factors beyond your influence. If you detach from the outcome and take pride in your actions, you find peace, regardless of how things turn out. This principle applies not just to goals, but to our interactions with others. How often do we expect people to behave in a certain way, to meet our needs or conform to our desires? And when they don't, we feel hurt or frustrated. But the Stoic perspective reminds us that we cannot control others. We can only control our responses to them. By releasing our attachment to how we think others should act, we free ourselves from unnecessary disappointment. Let me ask you, in what areas of your life are you currently setting expectations that are outside your control? How would it feel to release those expectations and focus solely on your actions and reactions? What freedom could come from detaching from the outcomes? This isn't about becoming indifferent or disengaged. It's about understanding that real power lies in your ability to act with virtue and integrity, regardless of the results. It's about recognizing that your worth is not defined by external success or failure, but by your own actions and character. As you practice this principle, you'll find a new sense of peace. You'll no longer be buffeted by the highs and lows of success and failure. approval, and rejection. Instead, you'll cultivate a steady, unshakable confidence in your ability to respond well to whatever life throws your way. This is the Stoic way of detaching from outcomes, not because outcomes don't matter, but because they aren't where our true power lies. The next time you set a goal or engage in a project, ask yourself, what can I control in this situation? How can I let go of my attachment to the result and focus on doing my best, regardless of the outcome? Now that we've explored the freedom that comes from releasing attachments and expectations, it's time to turn inward and consider the deepest, most difficult challenge of all: mastering ourselves. 5. Master yourself, not others. Many of us spend our lives trying to influence or control others, whether it's family, friends, colleagues, or even society at large. We think that if we could just get people to behave in a certain way, or if circumstances would align in our favor, we would finally be at peace. But here's the Stoic truth. The real challenge in life is not mastering others, but mastering ourselves. Lao Tzu once said, "He who conquers others is strong. He who conquers himself is mighty." Stoicism echoes this sentiment, teaching that true power lies in self-mastery, in governing our thoughts, emotions, and actions with reason and wisdom. Think about it. How often do we allow external events or the behavior of others to dictate our mood? How often do we react impulsively, out of anger or frustration, only to regret it later? The Stoic philosophy teaches that, while we cannot control the world around us, we have complete control over how we respond to it. This is where our true strength lies. Let's pause here and ask, when was the last time you were swept up by your emotions, reacting without thinking? How did that affect your peace of mind? What if, instead of reacting impulsively, you could pause, reflect, and respond with clarity and calmness? How would that change your interactions with the world? Stoicism emphasizes the importance of self-discipline. Marcus Aurelius often reflected on this in his meditations, reminding himself to remain calm and composed, even in the face of provocation. He knew that the key to a virtuous life was not in controlling others, but in controlling his own mind. This is not an easy task. Self-mastery requires constant practice. It means becoming aware of our thoughts and emotions and learning to manage them instead of letting them control us. It means choosing reason over impulse and wisdom over anger. One powerful technique that Stoicism offers is the practice of daily reflection. At the end of each day, take a moment to reflect on how you responded to the events of that day. Did you remain composed, or were there moments where you let your emotions take control? This simple practice helps you become more aware of your reactions and, over time, builds the habit of self-discipline. Another helpful exercise is the premeditatio malorum, or the premeditation of evils. This involves imagining possible challenges or difficulties you might face in a given situation and preparing yourself to respond calmly and wisely. By visualizing these scenarios ahead of time, you train your mind to remain steady when they actually occur. Remember, self-mastery is not about suppressing emotions or pretending to be unaffected by life's challenges. It's about cultivating the inner strength to respond with wisdom, even when emotions arise. It's about governing yourself, not through force, but through understanding and patience. Now I'd like to ask you, what are some areas in your life where you feel a lack of control over your reactions? What steps can you take today to begin mastering yourself? As you practice this, you'll find that you no longer feel as tossed about by life's ups and downs. Instead, you'll cultivate an inner steadiness that allows you to navigate challenges with grace and strength. If this resonates with you, I encourage you to share your thoughts in the comments below. How has practicing self-mastery impacted your life? And what areas are you still working on? Your insights could inspire others who are on the same journey. Now that we've explored the power of mastering ourselves, let's turn our attention to one of the most subtle yet profound ways we undermine our happiness, by setting expectations too high for ourselves and for others. 6. Lower your expectations to avoid disappointment. Have you ever found yourself feeling let down because people didn't meet your expectations? Or perhaps you've set lofty standards for yourself, only to fall short and be crushed by the weight of your own disappointment. We've all been there. In fact, it's human nature to create expectations about how life should unfold, how others should behave, and how we should perform. But as the Stoics teach, high expectations are often the root of much of our suffering. Seneca, one of the most influential Stoic philosophers, put it plainly: expecting is the greatest impediment to living. In anticipation of tomorrow, it loses today. Stoicism reminds us that when we place our happiness in the hands of external events, whether it's the actions of others or outcomes that are beyond our control, we set ourselves up for frustration. The Stoic solution? Lower your expectations. Now, this doesn't mean we should abandon all ambition or stop striving for excellence. Rather, it's about understanding that the world doesn't always align with our hopes. People will disappoint us, plans will fail, and situations will not always go as expected. By lowering our expectations, especially for things outside our control, we can shield ourselves from unnecessary pain. So let me ask you, how often do you find yourself frustrated or hurt because someone didn't act the way you thought they should, or because you didn't meet the high standards you set for yourself? What if, instead of clinging to these expectations, you could release them and approach life with a more flexible mindset? Lowering expectations doesn't mean lowering standards. It means being realistic about what we can expect from the world and from ourselves. Stoicism teaches us to accept life as it is, rather than as we wish it to be. This mindset shift allows us to experience greater contentment and inner peace, because we are no longer held hostage by unattainable ideals. Consider how this might apply to your relationships. We often expect others, friends, family, colleagues, to behave in ways that suit our desires or needs. But as we've discussed before, we cannot control other people. Their actions are driven by their own motives, experiences, and limitations. By releasing our expectations of them, we free ourselves from the frustration that comes when they inevitably act in ways we didn't foresee. The same is true of our expectations for ourselves. Stoicism encourages us to strive for virtue, to pursue wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. But it also reminds us to be kind to ourselves when we fall short. After all, we are human. We will make mistakes. The key is to learn from those mistakes without letting them define us or weigh us down with guilt. Think about the expectations you've set for yourself. Are they realistic? Are they grounded in your current reality? Or are they based on some ideal version of yourself that may not yet exist? What if you could approach each day with a sense of curiosity and openness rather than rigid expectations? How much lighter would your heart feel if you allowed yourself to simply do your best, without the pressure of perfection? By lowering expectations, you also increase your capacity for gratitude. When we release the need for things to go a certain way, we become more appreciative of what is. We notice the small victories, the unexpected joys, and the simple pleasures that might otherwise be overshadowed by our disappointment. Ask yourself this: what are you currently expecting from life that's causing you stress or frustration? And what would happen if you let go of that expectation? How would it change the way you experience the present moment? As we continue our exploration of Stoic wisdom, we'll now turn to one of the most profound principles in Stoicism, a reminder that can liberate us from fear and procrastination, the contemplation of our own mortality. 7. Memento Mori, Remember you will die. This may seem like a heavy topic, but for the Stoics, contemplating death, Memento Mori, was not a morbid practice. Instead, it was a powerful way to focus the mind on what truly matters in life. When we remember that our time is limited, we become more intentional about how we spend our days, our moments, and our energy. Marcus Aurelius, in his Meditations, often reminded himself of the fleeting nature of life. You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. This Stoic principle doesn't encourage us to live in fear of death, but rather to live fully and with purpose, knowing that each day is a gift that can be taken from us at any moment. Let's reflect for a moment. How often do we procrastinate, thinking we have endless time to achieve our goals or mend our relationships? How often do we waste precious moments on trivial matters, forgetting that life is passing by with each breath? Memento Mori is a wake-up call, a reminder that time is our most valuable resource, and once it's gone forever. This realization is not meant to induce panic, but rather to inspire action. If you knew that today was your last day on Earth, how would you spend it? Would you waste time on petty arguments or trivial distractions? Or would you focus on what truly matters, your relationships, your passions, and your personal growth? Stoicism teaches us to live with urgency, but not anxiety. It reminds us that while we cannot control how much time we have, we can control how we use the time we are given. This awareness of mortality sharpens our focus, helping us prioritize what is truly important. It encourages us to act now, rather than waiting for some distant, perfect moment that may never come. Consider how this principle can transform your life. When you begin each day with the awareness that it could be your last, you stop taking time for granted. You stop putting off the things that matter, whether it's spending time with loved ones, pursuing your passions, or practicing kindness and virtue. But Memento Mori is not just about personal fulfillment. It's also about making peace with death so that we can live without fear. The Stoics believed that by accepting the inevitability of death, we free ourselves from its grip. Death is not to be feared, but accepted as a natural part of life. This acceptance allows us to live more fully, more fearlessly, and more joyfully. So I ask you, what are you putting off because you believe you have more time? What would you do differently if you knew your days were numbered, which in truth they are? How can the contemplation of death motivate you to live with greater intention and purpose? Remember, Memento Mori is not about dwelling on death, but about using the awareness of it to live a richer, more meaningful life. Now, it's time to take action. Don't wait. Live today with the knowledge that each moment is precious and irreplaceable. We've explored 7 powerful Stoic principles that have the potential to transform your life. By focusing on what you can control, embracing adversity, living in the present moment, detaching from outcomes, mastering yourself, lowering expectations, and contemplating mortality, you can find peace, resilience, and purpose in a chaotic world. Stoicism isn't just an ancient philosophy. It's a practical guide to living well, even in the face of life's challenges. The Stoic mindset can help you cultivate inner strength, wisdom, and clarity, allowing you to navigate life's uncertainties with grace. I encourage you to reflect on these principles and apply them in your own life. If you found value in this video, don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments. How has Stoicism impacted your perspective? Which principle resonates most with you, and how will you put it into practice? If this content has been helpful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with others who might benefit from the timeless wisdom of Stoicism. Remember, the journey towards self-mastery and peace is ongoing, and together, we can grow and learn from these ancient teachings. Thank you for watching, and may you continue to live with wisdom, courage, and purpose.